This is Puerto Rico. It's a Caribbean island, but it's part of the US, and it's the birthplace of Ricky Martin.
Puerto Rico is a beautiful island in the Caribbean, about 1,000 miles southeast of Miami. It has a population of about 3.2 million people, and the air is always filled with beautiful ocean breezes with the smell of the very delicious Puerto Rican food. Pina colada seems to be one of the most common drinks. Very good pina colada.
In Puerto Rico, Spanish is the language that's mostly used. Although some Puerto Ricans, especially the ones who work in the tourism business, they speak good English. So a lot of times they would look at me, they would assume that I speak Spanish because I would look like I could speak Spanish, but I don't. I wish I could. I come from the sandy part of the world, so I speak Arabic.
Something interesting I've noticed about the coffee in Puerto Rico is you order just regular coffee, but I think it's actually really a latte. And why I think it's a latte is because it always has foam on the top, which is, very classic of a latte. Very good. We're exploring San Juan, and there's so much history and culture, so many things to learn about. There's a lot of birds here. It smells like there's a lot of birds here. We're about to enter the Cathedral Basilica Menor de San Juan Bautista, the second oldest cathedral in the Americas. This is Fuerte San Felipe del Morro. It's a fort that was built in 1539, and it has walls that are up to 15 feet thick and up to 140 feet tall. It took 200 years to build.
The fort of San Felipe del Morro occupies a very large area of San Juan, including a very long, nice, grassy area. And people usually hang out there, they fly kites. And it's a very nice, scenic, long walkway to actually get from the San Juan town to walk all the way to the castle.
I guess this is what they meant by some of the walls are 15 feet thick, because these are definitely about 15 feet.
One of the unique things about this fort, it's the oldest Spanish fort that was built in the New World. It also participated in several wars and battles, including battles against the Dutch, the British, and the Americans. But it's funny because now Puerto Rico is part of the US, so history can be funny sometimes.
Wow, that was a pretty crazy staircase. That staircase was steep and dark, and it's not very good if you're like me and you're kind of clumsy, but I didn't trip. Didn't trip. I'm trying to take one of those selfies where it's like you look surprised and everything. From the top of the fort, there's really beautiful 360-degree views all around. There's ocean views, and there's also views of the town. You can see San Juan and Old San Juan. I wonder if those rocks down there are natural or if they were put there. I mean, because I could see, if they were put there, maybe it has some sort of defense purpose. Maybe it makes it difficult for other ships to get close, or maybe it stops waves from, getting too high and crashing against the fort. Although with 15-foot thick walls, I would think waves wouldn't really affect the fort a whole lot. Nobody's getting in there. Nope. The lighthouse has actually been in operation since 1846. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, it suffered a lot of damage, so then it had to be rebuilt in 1906. I have to say, my favorite thing about this fort are all the beautiful views. Construction of Fuerte San Cristobal began in 1634. It has 150-foot tall walls, and at its largest, covered 27 acres.
What's different about San Cristobal Fort and the San Felipe del Morro Fort is that this fort, the San Cristobal, was built to protect against land attacks coming from the east instead of sea attacks. And this fort was built in particular in response to a Dutch attack from land from the east.
Throughout the fort, there's sentry boxes that are located up on high vantage points. And the purpose of these was for a soldier to stay in the sentry box and watch seaward approaches as well as landward approaches. And also they could see the wall below, so they could kind of see any attacks that were being planned against the fort.
One of my favorite things about the San Cristobal Fort is that on top you can get a very nice view of old San Juan. You can see the colorful buildings, the tiny alleyways, cobblestone roads. But you can also see the ocean, so you can see the ocean that way, and you can see old San Juan as well.
Sometimes it's just easier to go backwards. It uses different muscles and stuff, so.
Oh, these are rusty. These are rusty balls. That's very good. It's basically like a latte.
These are guava pancakes. I decided to get them because they were very unique and I've never seen guava pancakes anywhere else. They look pretty good.
This is croissant sandwich croissant. It has eggs and bacon, tomatoes looks like.
We're at the Punta Tuna lighthouse. It is on the southeast part of Puerto Rico. The views from the lighthouse are beautiful. This side of the lighthouse, we've got a nice view of the ocean, lots of rocks and some cliffs. The other side is also a view of the ocean, but there's also a sandy beach. Beautiful nonetheless. The beach near the Punta Tuna lighthouse is beautiful, but it is covered in seaweed. I've seen seaweed at quite a few of the beaches where the beach should be gorgeous without the seaweed, and I really wonder if the seaweed is a seasonal thing, like there's just some seasons or even some months where the seaweed is worse than others, or if it's a yearly thing, maybe this is a bad year for seaweed. I really wonder, because these beaches would be phenomenal without the seaweed. There's lots of really cool lighthouses in Puerto Rico, and this is just one of the several that we've seen. If there is a rock to climb, I will climb it. I'm not exactly wearing climbing shoes. That was fun. That was fun, I like that.
Here comes the big one. So we've decided to drive from San Juan all the way to the most western south point of the island, to this beautiful beach, Playa Sucia. It's beautiful and it has like a natural cove, but there's a lot of seaweeds, so it's not very enticing to swim in it. But otherwise it's beautiful and the water is very warm. And it's right next to a very scenic lighthouse that we're gonna hike up to and check out.
We hiked up to the lighthouse in Cabo Rojo, and right behind the lighthouse are these really intimidating cliffs. You know how cliffs look pretty cool in pictures and video, and you look at them and it looks kind of cool to see. It's kind of a whole other thing when you're at the top of the cliff looking down, and it's actually pretty windy up here. It's actually kind of terrifying. And I'm a pretty adventurous person. I mean, I've even jumped off of short cliffs, not like this. Wow, that cliff is terrifying.
It's hard to come close to the edge because it's so windy. You don't know if the wind is gonna push you this way or that way. So it's always good to keep a safe 7-foot distance inward.
Besides the ridiculous, gigantic cliffs by the lighthouse, we also found a few trails. So we're gonna walk on the trails and see what they bring us to.
There's definitely more Caribbean vibe in this side of the island compared to the hustle and bustle of the capital, San Juan. This is the most southwestern part of the island. If you're looking for a nice private beach that you would be the only one sitting in, there you go. It's a little bit hard to get to, but there you go. Just keep on that trail until you find this. So this is the Condado area. This is the area that has a lot of hotels. It's very touristy, very upscale, very nice.
Something kind of interesting that I had read about this area is that the water, although pretty, really isn't all that safe to swim in. I had read that there's a very strong undertow, which is confirmed by the sign right there that says strong currents. We're walking around on a boardwalk right next to the ocean, which is great. There's a beautiful sunset, some nice hotels behind us, but I would not go swimming in the ocean here. The waves do look like they could be producing some very strong currents.
We're in Yunque rainforest. It's actually the only rainforest that is part of the US. Yunque rainforest is about 28,000 acres large. Getting to Yunque rainforest is very easy actually. All you have to do is drive your car on Route 191. It's a windy road, so you'll keep going left, right. And then each site of interest, there are designated parking areas next to it. So all you have to do is park your car, hop off, check it out, hop back in, and keep going.
I'm seeing rainforest as far as I can possibly see.
Just going up the tower.
If you look all the way over, kind of in that direction, you can actually see water.
We are above the Yukahu Tower, and from up above you can see 360 views of the rainforest, and it's truly unique.
It looks like this trail that we're about to kind of explore actually requires climbing, so we'll see about that. I'm not exactly the most graceful person in the world, so if I fall, I'll try hard not to.
You did it!
I did it and I didn't fall.
It's not easy going underneath the waterfalls. When you're underneath it, the water hits you so hard that it hurts a little bit. This is Baño Grande. It's actually a man-made pool in the middle of the rainforest. It's actually pretty deep. It's 18 feet deep. It was built in the 1930s, and people used to swim here back in the day, but now they closed it for safety concerns. But you can still see it as one of the sights to see in the rainforest.
The pool gets fresh water from one of the rivers in the rainforest. You can tell it's not been in use for a long time, but I think this is the pool house. There's incredible biodiversity in the rainforest. There are several hundred different types of trees. There's multiple species of ferns and orchids and other flowers. But interestingly, there actually aren't any large animals that are native to this rainforest. If you're on one of the many hikes or enjoying the waterfalls, you might see birds or other small animals, but you won't see any large animals here at all. So we're trying to get to that tower at the very top of the mountain. So we'll take the Mount Britain Trail to get up there.
We started to hike to the tower that sits at the very highest point of Puerto Rico.
We're almost there. We're close.
It's a very difficult hike. Even though it's short, but because it's all entirely uphill, it's exceptional. So the good thing is coming down should be much easier, right?
Yeah, I would think so. We made it to the tower.
Good job. High five.
That hike was brutal. It's really hot. Probably, I don't know, low 90s it feels like. And the hike is pretty steep, but it was worth it to get to the tower at the top.
You want to go up?
Let's go up. We climbed up the tower, so now we're in one of the highest points in Puerto Rico.
Look at how small those palm trees are. Like all of these mountains just covered with palm trees. Wow.
I wasn't really expecting the rainforest to be quite as dense as it is. I know rainforests are, filled with plant life and they're pretty dense, but this is impressive. In fact, I don't think you could actually walk through this rainforest unless you're on a paved trail like the one that we're on now. It's actually kind of like a road. But if you didn't have paved trails, I think you would need a machete to get through this stuff.
This is mofongo. It's one of my favorite foods here in Puerto Rico. It's made of plantain, and it's crushed up and mashed. So it's mashed plantain. And this one comes with chicken. A very popular thing to do here in Puerto Rico is taking a kayak out at night, going to Laguna Grande. It has to be a dark night, preferably. That way you can see algae that is luminescent. There's a type of algae called dinoflagellates. At night, they provide luminescence. So it's a very unique thing here to Puerto Rico.
That is a rendering of the dinoflagellate creatures, kind of algae that become luminescent at night, which we're about to see.
This is really cool going in complete darkness in water.
Wow, vienen con la corriente, ¿verdad?
Sí. Mira, mi niño, van subiendo los dos botes, todo el mundo para la puerta.
Espérate, suéltate, Juan. Vamos a darle poquito a poquito. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Lights out.
Okay.
Let's see. Touch the water.
That's so cool.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, wow.
Can you use your hand? Okay, se van a la izquierda. Left side.
There's few things I enjoy more than reading a good book on the beach.
What's your favorite genre?
I like science fiction, especially future dystopian / science fiction novels.
Puerto Rico has a lot of nice beaches, and this is definitely one of them. This is Luquillo Beach. It's one of the best beaches to check out in Puerto Rico. It's really family friendly here. The water is very calm, and there's a lot of facilities, drink vendors, things of that sort. However, there is a very strong smell of marijuana in the air. There's a lot of people who smoke it here.